Being a child of the 60s, I love all things 60s, especially the music. The music was awesome, and the pop culture was awesome also. The late 1960s were a time of dramatic change in the United States of America. But there were little things that were very special too, like the lava lamp. And I remember the first lava lamp I saw. My brother Frank was stationed in England at the time, and on one of his leaves home, he brought a lava lamp, which we had never seen before, and everybody in the family was fascinated by it. So here's a little bit of history behind the amazing lava lamp. Not long after he left the Royal Air Force at the end of World War II, an Englishman named Edward Craven Walker walked into a pub in Hampshire, England, and noticed an odd item sitting on the counter behind the bar. It was a glass cocktail shaker that contained some kind of mucus-like blob floating in liquid. Craven Walker asked what it was, and the bartender told him it was an egg timer. The blob was actually a clump of solid wax in a clear liquid. You put the cocktail shaker in the boiling water with your eggs, the bartender explained, and as the boiling water cooked the egg, it also melted the wax, turning it into an amorphous blob of goo. When the wax floated to the top of the jar, your egg was done. Craven Walker saw a money-making opportunity floating in front of him. He could turn the egg timer into a lamp and sell it to the public. He set about tracking down its inventor, a man known today only by his last name, Donay, and found out that he was dead. The good news was that Donay had died without patenting the invention, so Craven Walker could patent it himself. Craven Walker spent the next 15 years perfecting Donay's invention so that it could be mass-produced. In the meantime, he supported himself by making art house films about his other passion, which was nudity. In those days, pornography was illegal in many places, and the only way around the law was by making documentaries about nudism. Whether Craven Walker was a genuine nudist or just a pornographer is a question that's up for debate, because nobody really knows for sure. In 1964, Craven Walker finished work on his lamp, a cylindrical vase that he called an astrolight, and introduced it as a novelty at a novelty convention in Hamburg, West Germany in 1965. Two Americans named Adolf Weatherheimer and Hy Specter saw it and bought the American rights to the lamp. They renamed it the Lava Light and introduced it to the United States, just in time for the psychedelic craze of the 1960s. Lava light sales peaked in the late 60s. Jane and Michael Stem write in the Encyclopedia of Bad Taste, when the slow swirling colored wax happened to coincide perfectly with the undulating aesthetics of psychedelia, they were advertised as head trips that offered a motion for every emotion. At their peak, more than 7 million lava lights, the English version was called Lava Lamp, were sold around the world each year. But by the early 1970s, the fad had run its course, and sales fell dramatically. By 1976, sales were down to 200 lamps a week, a fraction of what they had been only a few years before. And then, by the late 1980s, sales began to rebound again, as style makers began to ransack the 60s for inspiration. Lava lights came back, and Jane and Michael Stern write, formerly dollar-a-piece flea market pickings, original lava lights, particularly those with paisley or op art or homemade trippy motifs are on their bases, became real collectibles in the late 80s, selling in chic boutiques for more than the brand new price. Now that brand new ones were being hurting for business, in 1998, manufacturers in England and the U.S. were selling more than 2 million lights per year. Only the companies that make lava lights know precisely what chemicals are in the lamp and in what combination. The recipe is a trade secret. but the principles at work are pretty easy to understand. When the lamp is turned off and at room temperature, the waxy lava substance is slightly heavier than the liquid it's in. That's why the wax is slumped into a heap at the bottom. When you switch on the bulb, it begins to heat the fluid, the wax melts and expands to the point where it is slightly lighter than the fluid itself, and that's what causes the lava to rise. As the wax rises, it moves further away from the bulb and cools just enough to make it heavier than the fluid again. This causes the lava to fall back towards the bulb, where it starts to heat up again, and the process repeats itself. The lava also contains chemicals called surfactants that make it easier for the wax to break into blobs and squish back together. It is this precise chemical balancing act that makes manufacturing the lava light such a challenge. Every batch has to be individually matched and tested, says company chemist John Mundy. Then we have to balance it so that the wax won't stick. Otherwise, it just runs up the side or dispenses into millions of tiny bubbles. So now you know a little bit of the background of the lava lamp. It was an interesting lamp, and I spent many fascinating hours watching the lava heat up and go to the top and cool down and go to the bottom in forms that were probably every one distinct and different.